Imagine a world where, suddenly and without warning, every cat, every tabby, every calico, every majestic lion, and elusive snow leopard vanished. At first, maybe, the absence would seem like a strange dream. Owners would call for their pets, puzzled. Shelters would find empty cages. And in forests, on distant plains, among icy mountains, entire ecosystems would shift as one of their apex or mesopredators, silent, swift, enigmatic, was simply gone. The repercussions would begin at home, in the place where cats first earned their role in human society. Millennia ago, humans and cats formed a partnership almost by accident. Early agriculturalists learned that granaries and fields attracted rodents. Rodents devoured grain. Cats, attracted to settlements by an abundance of mice, began to linger around human communities. People realized the benefits and, over time, welcomed the cats. In the absence of felines, that old, uneasy truce with the rodent world would break. Farmers in rural communities would soon notice the difference. Without cats patrolling the edges of fields and barns, rodent populations would begin to surge. For so long, these silent hunters have kept mouse and rat numbers in check. With no predators about, the population would rise unchecked, gnawing on food stores and contaminating supplies, businesses, and homes. Agricultural output could dip as rodents eat more than ever before. And some farmers may try trapping or poisoning, but neither matches the stealth and adaptability of a skilled mouser on patrol. The result would be more reliance on chemicals, rodenticides, to keep infestations under control, leading to environmental consequences of their own. Meanwhile, in our homes, a different kind of emptiness would settle. The gentle vibration of a purring cat perched on a windowsill or curled up beside you on the couch would be missing. No more contented blinking from the foot of the bed. No more warm bodies winding around your legs at mealtime. No more swift pounces on unseen prey or laser pointer red dots. According to some estimates, over 370 million cats live as pets worldwide. For millions of people, the cat is confidant, companion, and often therapy. The psychological void left behind would be difficult to measure. Grief for beloved companions, but perhaps also a troubling increase in loneliness and the health effects that come with it. The world of literature and art would feel suddenly poorer. Cats sit at the heart of myth, legend, and story, worshipped in ancient Egypt, luck-bringer in Japan, adored or feared in European fairy tales. Writers from Edgar Allan Poe to Haruki Murakami have wandered through their labyrinthine personalities. Artists have immortalized their movements and expressions in sculpture, painting, and film. Remove the cat from culture, and you lose not just a muse, but an entire thread of meaning, humor, and metaphor. Yet the greatest consequences would unfold well beyond our homes and imaginations, in the wider ecosystem. Domesticated cats are only a branch of the broader family. Felidae, a lineage that stretches back tens of millions of years and has grown to prowl every continent except Antarctica. Lions of Africa, tigers of Asia, jaguars and ocelots of the Americas, snow leopards of the Himalayas, lynxes among northern forests, cheetahs on open grasslands, and countless small wildcats tucked into jungles and deserts. Of all mammal families, few are so graceful, so diverse, or so perfectly adapted to their place in the food web. If all of them disappeared overnight, the change to their environments would be dramatic. As apex and mesopredators, wildcats occupy a high rung in the ladder of life. By hunting other animals, deer, antelope, hares, rodents, birds, they shape the entire community below them. Prey evolve to evade capture. Plants prosper when herbivore numbers are kept in check. Competing predators find their own balance with the cat. Remove that force, and the delicate interlocking system begins to falter. Prey animals that once lived in fear of cats, antelope, gazelles, smaller mammals, and the like, would suddenly find the landscape safer. Their numbers would swell as mortality rates from predation dropped. However, unchecked growth would bring its own perils. Overgrazing could strip large areas of vegetation, saplings and seedlings, grasses and shrubs. Ecosystems would begin to unravel as plants disappear, eroding soils and changing river flows. The rise of certain herbivores over others might also squeeze out less competitive species, changing the entire community makeup. Smaller predators, too, would sense an opening. Without the competition from larger dominant cats, animals like foxes, coyotes, raccoons, and jackals might flourish, filling the vacant ecological niches. Some would diversify their diets and behaviors, taking on roles once performed by cats themselves. But others, lacking the hunting prowess of the vanished felines, would either fail to control the same prey species or push the system into greater imbalance. And it's not only about population control. Wild cats serve as what biologists call keystone species. Their actions ripple outward, structuring entire ecological communities. When lions stalk the savanna, they keep herbivores on the move, preventing overgrazing in any one spot and allowing the land to recover. In forests, leopards and jaguars regulate both prey and smaller predator populations, influencing which species thrive and which fade into the background. Without cats, the diversity of plants and animals in these places could fall, leading to simplified and less resilient ecosystems. On islands and in many regions, the story is more ambiguous. Domesticated and feral cats introduced by humans have sometimes wreaked havoc, preying on native birds, reptiles, and amphibians that evolved without feline predators. On islands such as New Zealand, their absence might benefit endangered wildlife. Yet even there, the ecological vacuum left by their disappearance could introduce a new set of problems, such as population explosions among rats and rabbits, leading to unforeseeable consequences. Nature, after all, abhors a vacuum. Remove one piece, and something else surges in to take its place, often with new, unexpected effects. Meanwhile, in cities, the absence of cats would be most keenly experienced by urban dwellers who never had a pet but benefited nonetheless. Feral cats, often blamed for their own environmental downsides, help limit urban rat populations. In places like New York, Istanbul, and Rome, they are an unofficial, often beloved, army keeping unsanitary pests at bay. Studies show that neighborhood cats can drastically reduce the visible presence of rodents, if not eliminate them entirely. If those silent sentinels vanished, rat populations might rise unchecked, invading basements, grocery stores, and subway tunnels. Urban public health could suffer. Rats, after all, are carriers for a host of diseases: Salmonella, hantavirus, leptospirosis, and the still-feared plague bacterium Yersinia pestis. Even a modest increase in rat numbers can have unhappy ripple effects. Back in human homes, another everyday experience would shift: the world of allergies. Cats are one of the most common sources of household allergens. For millions, their absence might mean relief from sneezing and watery eyes. On the flip side, long-term absence of exposure to pet dander is linked to higher rates of allergies, as children fail to build tolerance to common animal proteins. The human immune system, shaped for thousands of years alongside animals, including cats, might begin to react more violently to new allergens, trading one set of problems for another. The scientific understanding of biomedicine would also lose a valuable resource. Cats have long been key animal models for scientific research, helping researchers learn about diseases, physiology, and new interventions in both human and veterinary medicine. They are one of the few species susceptible to similar viral infections as humans, and even played a surprising role in developing treatments for HIV, as scientists studied feline immunodeficiency virus, FIV, a cousin to the virus that causes AIDS in people. The loss of these natural models could slow the pace of discovery in several fields. There are other, subtler losses. Cats have been invaluable in our efforts to understand animal behavior: how hunters stalk prey, how mothers nurture their young, how solitary animals communicate, cooperate, and adapt. They offer a window into evolution, adaptation, and the secrets of animal intelligence. Consider how the humble domestic cat formed a partnership with humans, unlike that of the dog, preserving more of its wild independence and sensibility. From shy wildcat to household favorite, its journey is an ongoing lesson in the art of coexistence. The economic impact paints a complicated picture. The global pet industry is massive, and felines are a cornerstone. Billions of dollars spent every year on food, litter, toys, veterinary care, insurance, grooming, and more. Shelters, breeders, and thousands of small businesses owe their livelihoods to the love affair between people and cats. With their disappearance, jobs would be lost, companies would shutter, and families would grieve the passing of traditions. Show competitions, rescue work, and social gatherings from cat cafes to cat conventions. Likewise, veterinary science would be forced to refocus. Specialists, clinics, and researchers dedicated to feline medicine would pivot, forming a much narrower field. While some would care for other small mammals and pets, others would face profound personal and professional loss. An entire subsection of the educational world would need to reinvent itself entirely. From a spiritual and philosophical view, the absence of cats would strike at our collective sense of wonder. The ancient world revered cats as intermediaries between the human and the divine. The Egyptian goddess Bastet, the Norse cat-drawn chariots of Freya, the trickster figures of Asian and African folklore. Their beauty, lethality, inscrutability, and grace have led generations to ponder life's mysteries. For artists and dreamers, cats symbolize the wild spirit barely tamed by civilization, a living paradox at the edge of domestic hearth and moonlit wilderness. Without them, we would lose a living metaphor for independence, agility, curiosity, and transformation. We would wake to a quieter world, bereft of flashing tails in the grass and luminous eyes shining from the shadows. Yet not all absences are immediately felt. For some, the feline's disappearance would go almost unnoticed, except in the slow creep of pests at home, the shift in science labs, or fleeting mentions in literature. For others, the sense of loss would be crushing and immediate. A vanished companion, a missing patch of warmth and fur, an echoing silence where the sound of purring once soothed. Still, nature is nothing if not resilient. With the disappearance of cats, rodents, and small mammals would spike, until disease, scarcity, and other predators stepped in. Birds of prey, snakes, and other opportunistic hunters might grow in number, slowly rebalancing ecosystems over decades. In savannas and jungles, wolves, wild dogs, hyenas, and bears may fill the feline niche, but not with the same grace or effect. Over time, new balances would be struck. Ecosystems would shift, some animal populations booming and crashing in cycles, forests opening or closing under new pressures, new evolutionary experiments taking root. Humans would search for biological solutions, engineered viruses to control rats, gene drives in mice, new forms of trapping and repellents, perhaps even efforts to fill the gap with robotic or synthetic predators. Yet every intervention would have its own risks and limits. The question would remain, what legacy do cats leave behind? For roughly 10,000 years, through floods and fires, pandemics and plagues, they have remained steady companions, their whispers woven into human legend and child's play alike. Their grace has shaped our creative spirit. Their patience has molded our relationship with the wildness inside and around us. If they vanished tomorrow, our world would shift in ways both tangible and invisible. We would mark their passing in the slow changes of the fields and forests, in the rising tide of pests, in the echoing quiet of midnight roads, in the changed arc of scientific understanding, and in the deep, private wound following the loss of a companion. Ultimately, the story of cats is also the story of humanity's connection to the natural world, a relationship marked by respect, misunderstanding, love, and stewardship. Their loss would be a warning, a sign of how intertwined our fates are. Each species is a note in the symphony of life. Remove one, and the music changes, often for the worse. As we ponder a world without them, perhaps we should look more closely at their presence with us now. In the gentle touch of a headbutt, in the watchful blink of gold or green eyes, in the wind-borne call of a lioness to her pride, there is a reminder: the wild and the tame, the predator and the friend, the mystery and the comfort, all are part of the same fragile web. It is ours to honor and our future to protect. For now, let's cherish the cats who share our lives, the silent shadows on the windowsill, the slinking panthers in the brush, the elusive tigers in the tall grass. Let us remember what they bring to our world, and imagine with care a future in which they thrive, for the sake of their legacy and our own.